Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nadia, but you can call me Nod. I make commentary videos about my favorite geeky media such as anime, film, and video games, and vlogs about my art journey and my career. And this is not a typical video I would make. That said, I'm considering this as like a prerequisite of research for a final deep dive video I'd like to make on DANDADAN. DANDADAN? DANDADAN one day. So before getting into what I want to talk about today, I really want to ask you all a question, and I need your input. I need your help to help inform me in my future research after I watch the anime again and after I actually get a chance to read the manga. The overarching question here, and I'll dive into it a little bit more, is do you think DANDADAN is more so inspired by Black culture, or does it appropriate it? Why or why not? And if it is inspired by Black culture, why are the negative reactions so vehement online? That's how I'm approaching this. Before going in deeper about this, please consider leaving a comment on this video at the end, subscribing if you're interested in this kind of conversation. I like to approach my media analysis videos, especially any kind of commentary, through a very critical, ideally academic kind of lens. I'm not here to make content that's gonna end in people calling each other names or just not being kind. I truly want to think critically about the media that I love and understand where there could be improvement, whether it's like from a storytelling point of view or if there's just problematic things from a societal view that we need to move on past. And if anyone's gonna call it out, then I might as well call it out, because why not? You know what I mean? That's what I'm here for. So to give just the smallest amount of context possible without going too deep about anything, DANDADAN was and is an anime that was released this past fall season, I suppose. And it's basically an anime about ghosts and demons and aliens. And it's of course centered around high school protagonists and with a little touch of like innocent high school romance. It's very cute in that sense. At the same time, it's been a very popular anime. There's been so many TikToks made about it, YouTube shorts, YouTube like live action opening theme song versions of the anime, and specifically the opening theme song by CreepyNuts, which is a Japanese musician and artist, has been a topic of controversy within the anime community and specifically with Black people in the anime community. There are, as far as I know, 2 instances of this, and then there's one isolated instance involving the voice actors and the art of DANDADAN as well. There was a Reddit user over the fall time and was able to find within the opening theme song and choreography that there was basically like an homage or inspiration from a Rihanna music video. If you don't know who Rihanna is, she's a very, very, very popular R&B and pop singer, mostly retired from the music, now an entrepreneur, has her own makeup line, essentially. It's so many things. She's amazing. We love seeing Black women win. Regardless, within the opening theme song and opening theme song animation and choreography, there is basically a very short segment where one of the main characters, Ayase Momo, she copies the same dance move as Rihanna in one of her old music videos. And people initially thought it was really cool that the producers of the anime found this inspiration and pulled from that. When this was first found out, people thought it was, like I said, very cool. And at the same time, there were Black individuals within the anime community that found it extremely problematic and labeled it as appropriation versus inspiration. And there was like a viral tweet where someone was like, y'all don't want to talk about how Black culture is appropriated in anime, it never gets credit, or that's like a different conversation or something, or y'all don't want to talk about it. It was very, very vague of Twitter, as Twitter does. and just very negative, and the way that the conversation started was framed in a very unproductive way. And it was less of like, hey, why don't we have a conversation about this, and more of like, I'm right, you're wrong. This is why I can't do Twitter. It's so bad for my brain. It makes me want to fight. Another instance, again involving the opening theme song of DANDADAN, is the actual song itself, created by the artist Creepy Nuts. But essentially, someone pulled an interview, again, a black viewer of the anime, found in an interview that Creepy Nuts had stated himself that they pulled a lot of inspiration for their music from Jersey music in America. And again, this person who found this information said and considered it cultural appropriation of black culture. They mentioned how they pull this inspiration, but they don't credit black people in the final product. And I found that very confusing, because if he mentioned that in the interview, isn't that giving credit? This is how I perceived it, and I didn't understand it was such an issue until I saw this tweet, again, of course, on Twitter, and then saw the same thing on TikTok, again, causing discourse. And the final instance involves the voice actors. As someone who's also an artist and loves anime as an art form and illustration from anime as an art form, I'm very present on art Twitter as well, especially within anime spaces. There was a user, again, on Twitter who took the main protagonists of DANDADAN and basically made them all black. It was so cute. I loved it so much. They represented the black features in these characters very, very well. Like, it wasn't distasteful at all, as has been a trend within Japanese animation in the past. So I love it so much, seeing like people who change the race of our favorite anime characters into black characters and actually represents it in an accurate way as far as the features and the drawing, and doesn't just make a caricature of black people within anime. Regardless of how well this illustration was made, there were people who were quote tweeting this and saying that, hey, we aren't Disney characters. That's what it was. Stop trying to change our race. And it was very off-putting for a lot of people, because this person said they were Japanese, and no one can confirm if they were actually Japanese. There was a rumor going around that the person who quote tweeted this and said that they were Japanese and to stop making anime characters black because they're not Disney characters, that they were actually a white person claiming to be Japanese. That honestly does not surprise me. But I can't confirm that, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. But because of this, there was a whole uproar and people being satirical about it, like, hey, stop making Miku Brazilian or something like that, even though that was a whole trend over the summer. And there was even an instance where we find out, like, as the general public, that the English voice actor of Okarun is actually black. And the voice actor himself quote tweeted this and showed that his new profile picture on Twitter was the black Okarun that the original artist made. And it was really beautiful. I thought it was so nice to see that as a response. On the flip side, he got terribly harassed for that decision, despite him being black and being the voice actor of Okarun for the English dub of DANDADAN. And it's just like a bunch of discourse, and especially a race discourse within DANDADAN, just like so random. And it has gotten very violent, specifically. Not physically violent, but like verbally violent, verbally abusive and harassing. I don't know why I'm holding my nail clippers. Please ignore. I need to do something with my hands because I'm uncomfortable talking about this, but I want to talk about it. And I am consuming this content as someone who is of Asian and Black American descent. That is my overarching lens of this, and that is why I want to talk about this. So to give further context of my background, again, I'm not trying to make this about me, but I want to start a conversation and give you guys some perception of where I'm coming from. I am bi-ethnic and biracial. Bi-ethnic because my mother is Filipino and she was born in the Philippines. She was an immigrant of the USA. Biracial because my father is Black. He's a Black American who was born in America. My mother has since become naturalized, and I'm an American citizen and a daughter of an immigrant mother and a daughter of an American father who was Black. Living in America, a country that was built on the backs of Black slaves and immigrants. I have a college degree in international studies. I got this degree because I didn't know a lot about my Asian upbringing and I wanted to learn about it. My main focus in my degree was Asian studies. I didn't get to learn as much about the Philippines in my degree program because there wasn't the readily available courses for it, but I learned all about the East: Japan, South Korea, North Korea, China, especially China, and a little bit about the Middle East, so Bangladesh, India, so on and so forth. And while I'm not directly affected by this discourse online, I find it very disheartening that these two communities clash so much when I identify and belong to both. It's like a cultural tug of war and there's literally no winner. And it physically pains me to see the Black versus Asian conversations. It really does. And that's okay, because the reason I'm starting this conversation and making this video is because I want to understand where is my pain coming from? Is it more personal than I'm making it out to be? Is there a way for us to think about things differently? And I don't know, if I can be someone who can change that perception in Japanese or popular Asian media, then I'd love to be a part of that movement. I really, really would. But I know I can't do it on my own, and I want to invite you guys and ask you again, do you think all these controversies surrounding the DANDADAN anime is inspiration or appropriation? And why? What do you consider inspiration? What do you consider appropriation? Where does that line blur, and why does it blur there? Because I don't think it's as black and white as we think. It's not as black and white as we want it to be at all. That's the issue. And how can we change our perception of it in the future? Finally, I am planning to interview one of my close friends that I've made recently, who is actually Black and Japanese and just spent the past year living and studying in Japan. She's American, but she is half Japanese, so she has even a different lens to look at this, and it affects her more as a person who is literally belonging to both communities. But she is not an avid anime watcher, and I think that unbiased opinion from her is going to be so valuable in this conversation. Finally, as an outro to this video, again, while this video stands as a conversation starter for deeper research, I do want to encourage you to please leave your thoughts below and to take your time to comment it. Really digest everything you've listened to today. Really understand where your feelings are rooted from. Is it rooted from a critical place of analyzing all the controversy, or is it reactive? And I just want to remind you that I want my platform, again, to be a place to think critically and academically about the geeky media that we love. And I will only hold space for those who share their thoughts with the same sentiment, first approaching it with respect. We all deserve respect, okay? Before I complete my final deep dive video, I, again, do plan to watch the anime once again and catch up on the manga. I hope to release this video early in 2025, if not by the middle of 2025. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out, that would be greatly appreciated. And finally, if this whole conversation just makes you angry, I want to remind you, you can click off the video, you can block me, you don't have to be a part of it, and that's okay. It's okay for you to disagree with me as well, even though I don't have a formed opinion yet, but I'm sure there's people who would disagree just because. Yeah, thank you so much for wanting to be a part of my research, wanting to be a part of the conversation. I hope to learn deeply about this subject, and I hope to take it into my final research of DANDADAN and understand where all these negative responses truly stem from. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.